Imagine the Sri Lankan education system as a bus. It's massive, it's wheezing, it's a rickety old thing. It's been wobbling on two broken wheels since our generation rode it, belching black smoke. Everyone knows it's headed the wrong way. But our children are stuck in this broken old vehicle. Now, suddenly, while we're inching our way forward, we are blindsided by a massive car crash. Not just us, all the other vehicles on the road as well. And our bus is spinning in one place. Our children and our teachers lie stunned on the road. Instead of attending to these emergencies, we do what we have always done for the past 70 years. We jump to protect the broken, belching bus. Instead of looking after our children, we look after the bus.
That was playwright and mother of two, Ruanti Dijikera, who equated Sri Lanka's education system to a broken, belching, crashed bus. Instead of attending to the victims of this crashed bus, our children, the country jumps in to save the broken bus, which is now beyond repair. Why? Because generations have ridden on that bus and we can't think of any other option. On Senegal Life, let's talk today is Ruanti Dijikera on our children riding that bus only to emerge injured and broken and going nowhere. So happy you could be here. Education is a subject that much discussion has been held on, but very little results have we ever seen. But with the pandemic, it sort of took up the spotlight again. What has this crisis actually revealed about our school system?
It has revealed how utterly obsolete it is. See, before the pandemic, our dated syllabi, our horrendous exam system, and our non-effective teaching methods, which essentially rely on note giving and memorization, were the most useless part of school life, but they were still only part of school life. And our children suffered through these, but thrived in extracurricular activities, sports, and the general camaraderie of school. Without all of these props, the lessons, the exam system, and the teaching methods lay exposed under a very harsh light. Now, no one can look away and pretend that these are not working anymore. Well, they are not, and they need to be replaced whole scale.
So currently there's no motivation, there's no interaction, there's no purpose, and the main purpose or main reason for memorizing information is to sit exams, which again are purposeless. What happens to a child's health, both physically and mentally?
Children are not bystanders in this pandemic. They are full participants of it. They are isolated, they are scared, they are missing their friends, they are worried about their grandparents, they're made afraid to touch each other. And what do we do to them? We put them in front of screens for up to 10 to 18 hours of the day, and we tell them to memorize completely irrelevant data, which have no bearing on their reality or the world they live in. What would happen to your mental and physical health if someone did that to you for 2 years when your body and brain are growing?
Ideally, what should have been done and what should be our priorities?
All exams should have been cancelled. The A-levels should have been assignment-based evaluations or predictive grades. Now, the rest of the world is already doing this. The number of subjects should have been halved, if not quartered. My 12-year-old daughter has 14 subjects online. Schools should then cooperate, and some teachers be given the responsibility of creating general online teaching videos which can be shared with all schools. And other teachers should be encouraged to learn how to lead children in research-based assignments. And priority should absolutely be given to collective work among students.
So what can be done in the immediate?
Immediately in our homes, please get your children off screens and engage them in life and nature and in relationships. Immediately in schools, principals insist on a break and start talking to other principals and to parents and to teachers about what our children are going through, and make it a priority in your school to respond to these very real needs of your students. Address the isolation, address the depression, the paranoia, the anxiety, address the physical safety of each and every child. The state is the ultimate custodian of every child in this country. This means that when adults take bad decisions with regards to children, the state has the right to step in and protect the child. But now this needs to work the other way as well. When the state takes bad decisions with regards to children, we adults need to step in and we need to protect them.
Thank you, Ruanti, for putting a spotlight on this subject, because sometimes we only talk about it and nothing gets done. Hats off to you for doing that. Thank you so much for joining us on Selangor Life Let's Talk. Don't forget to press like on YouTube when you watch Kaleidoscope. Also, if you haven't already done so, do subscribe to Kaleidoscope with Savitri Rodrigo. Plus, follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Making all your new goals in life a reality is why our strength is your strength. With 12 billion rupees worth of customer benefits in 2020 and a life insurance fund worth over 100 billion rupees, our strength is your strength. You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Selangor Life.